Ooh, hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I'm a little bit sick, but ladies and gentlemen, we've got a wild video today. And ever since I've been covering some of this MrBeast stuff, for the last several months, it's been one of those stories where, to this day, even the man himself has not answered. And it's been kind of this game that goes back and forth. And it's kind of one of these stories that just keeps having, like, M. Night Shyamalan-esque turns, okay? Like, twists and turns everywhere. It's like I'm watching Signs all over again. Now, why are we talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, in such a, grave way? Well, there's one channel by the name of Soggy Cereal, 266,000 subscribers, that has made a feature-length reveal on MrBeast. Has actually covered many of the actual accusations brought forward, which there are a lot of. So for this video and the concise nature of it, I'm really going to be focusing on things that really, I feel, are the most important. So I'm not going to be jumping into war crimes or CGI or anything of that nature. Now, to give context over here, about a few months ago, there was a user known as Dogpack404. Now, Dogpack404 is a pretty, I guess you could say, up-and-coming YouTuber. He's got 2 videos uploaded. There used to be 3, but the third one got removed, for why we'll find out later. Now, here he uploaded a video 3 months ago. They got 15 million views. I worked for MrBeast. He's a fraud. Now, there was a second part to this video where, again, things get even more intense. And obviously, you can see that it clearly is a pretty big point for YouTube when the largest creator on the platform is being called out for some pretty serious shit. Now, initially, Soggy Cereal starts this video off with what appears to be Dogpack404 getting fired. So I want you to listen to this to set the tone.
Yes. You're pushing back on everything that we're saying. So
well, because you're trying to fire me, and I want to work at this company.
I'm the CEO of this company. If I'm talking, don't interrupt.
And I've been trying to get to this point of working on MrBeast for a long time. Can I please have a second chance?
Yeah, you just heard somebody get completely fired from their job. Now, what happens when an employee gets fired? They either walk away into the sunset, seek new employment, or they start one of the wildest internet campaigns that you could imagine. Now, to give you an idea, there were a couple things that I wanted to hit, so I want to start this video off with a pretty hard-hitting point. Now, in one of Dogpack's video, he mentions a character known as Delaware. Now, Delaware is an individual that actually has a real conviction behind the belt, okay? This is somebody that actually is in the sex offender camp of convictions. Now, inside this entire story, Jake Weddle, one of the people being interviewed by Dogpack, actually had basically come in and talked about this. In one of these long interviews, Jake Weddle mentions the guy was banished by the state.
Even if that guy didn't do anything, they still knew about it and he was still around. And what if he's one of the people in the Discord servers? What if he's not? I don't know. But when I was there, they called him Delaware. He's like, why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently, they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware. That's his nickname? Colloquially? Like, it's Delaware.
Now, initially at this moment in time, kind of the red flag was sort of being raised because generally getting banished by a state is some pretty big information. Now, according to Soggy, who got in touch with a few of these people working at the company, one of them being Dustin Harris, ends up actually sending this message. And this is where, again, I want to remind you, when I first covered this story, when I first covered this section, I was genuine when I was saying I don't think there's any good answer to it. But this is some much needed context. Dustin Harris says, as far as Delaware goes, he was just a local Best Buy manager Jimmy found. The company was growing really quickly, and it was just Jimmy and 2 or 3 friends. So he went to Best Buy and hired like 3 people. One of them was named Delaware, Best Buy called him that, and we didn't make it up, and he ran the store. I guess Jimmy figured if Best Buy thought he was good enough to manage a giant store, then he was probably good enough to run a YouTube channel. I feel like those are 2 completely separate things, but sure. Which was dumb, but Jimmy was like 18 at the time, so not surprising. We do background checks now and have a super in-depth hiring process. People tend to think of a giant company we are now when they hear stories, but it wasn't a 300-person company then. It was like 5 guys buying a car with pennies on the weekend. So clearly MrBeast company is far larger. Like, obviously they're making more extravagant content, but back in the early days of spinning a fidget spinner and saying some name a million times, MrBeast company was, of course, very small. Now, somebody that also, is in the small business world, I understand what it can be when you're starting a company and you do make some mistakes. However, I think hiring a registered sex offender is not a mistake that should, again, be washed away so lightly. But the point they mentioned, Best Buy, again, the idea was if Best Buy hires you, they probably ended up doing the actual due diligent background checks. Now, again, maybe this is a bigger concern that I have with even Best Buy. How is somebody who actually has that record, one that would take like $50 to get a proper background check done, how did Best Buy not find it? So again, this is one of those things where people look at it and say, okay, maybe it kind of makes sense how you let this hiring go through. So Delaware's first appearance was on Jimmy's YouTube channel. Right here you can see that Delaware is standing without actually having a mask. Now if you look very carefully, Delaware's t-shirt will actually say Best Buy, so it actually has Delaware written on it. So it wasn't a name that they came up with over at the MrBeast studios in order to like run some weird sick joke, as that Jake Weddle idiot put it. If you actually listen to the Jake Weddle interview again, it really comes across as they had this really sick joke where they actually knew the guy was banished from Delaware, named them that because of the crime, and were obviously like putting him with masks on so it would somehow conceal their identity. Now I feel like this is, again, taking a situation like this way to the extreme ends of real truthdom, okay? Why did this conspiracy cooked up by this delusional comedian actually happen to make it through Dogpack's video? It literally makes no sense whatsoever. Now again, these are always like he said, she said scenarios, but really the video footage in combination with Dustin's message makes more sense. The guy clearly worked at Best Buy, the name was identified at Best Buy, and it's pretty reasonable to assume that the guy actually, didn't have this crazy nickname cooked up at MrBeast Studios. The guy literally was just some dude Delaware they knew at the time who they hired into the company. Now again, it doesn't make the situation less fucked up. All right, this makes the context of these people being evil sickos obviously not as evil as some would think. But obviously, if you're hiring anybody into your company at all, you should probably make sure for the safety of yourself and the people around you that people do not have crazy sex offenses like this, okay? And even according to Soggy's video, Delaware was fired about half a decade ago. So in Dogpack's video, there was a moment where through a voice changer, an employee was brought into the mix.
Okay, so finally I have a recorded phone conversation. The person on the other end of this line is a different former MrBeast employee talking about Delaware. Also, apparently before this phone conversation got recorded, the person on the other end of the line said that the MrBeast team was actually trying to expunge Delaware's record off the registry, and that's what actually like sparked this person to start recording.
Delaware was, he was a hustler, dude. Like, to be completely honest with you, he was a hustler. There was extra money he was making, he didn't call back and say, you know what I mean? Like, if Jimmy was like, I need a set done, and Delaware was like, would you do that for like $1,000? Well, that's like, just go out there and fucking make a set for like 8 hours by himself. You know, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it was Reed's idea to get him fired. And it was like, we need to get you an APL manager, and then we went through that whole cycle of different VPs and managers, and, you know, people that won't talk to us anymore because they're scared of Jimmy. And if you really don't do anything in the affidavits or testimonials from people, you have to move very quickly because, well, those people are going to go back.
Now, again, this employee got into Soggy's video and basically revealed the fact that they actually didn't even consent to that interview in the first place. So this is a serious no-no when it comes to investigating anyone, right? For instance, they thought the call was literally just gossip and nothing on that call was actually stated with, real evidence or facts. It was quite literally, according to this person, water cooler talk.
I mean, yeah, to say that I felt tricked or used as an understatement. Like they knowingly came and did this. I had like 3 or 4 contacts call me the night that it dropped, and I was watching the whole video trying to figure out like what they were talking about. And when it got to that recording, my stomach just like sank.
All because of a call that they unconsensually recorded, which you clarified was basically rumors and gossip.
Yeah. I didn't want to be involved with, didn't even know what was going on, that, I was just thrown into unconsensually. And yeah, you said it, man. I just, it threw a pretty big wall up.
So I'm going to talk about ethics real quickly, okay? When you record anyone for a call, like even if you live in a one-party consent state, like I do in Ontario, Canada, when investigating, When doing any internet investigation, especially on super serious topics like this, I do record every single call, all right? And it's always usually not to catch somebody, but it's mostly for me to note take and, re-experience what I was saying, maybe a couple days ago. So in this situation, when you record somebody, you have to explicitly set them up with the knowledge that they are actually being recorded, and more specifically on the record. If that person had no idea that they were on the record, then in my opinion, it's a serious, massive miss on the part of Dogpack. And I know he and plenty of people will say that he's not a journalist. It's one of the common deflections I've seen about this, but it doesn't matter. And when you make a video that garners over 10 million views, it could even be 1,000 views. When you make a video where you're pushing serious claims like this, you have to make sure every single claim you bring forward has evidence and actual fact brought into it. But not just that, it's ethically sourced. If you're recording people without their consent or them being on the record, then what you say shouldn't really be an admissible thing. The only time, all right, any time a recording that I've ever leaked or released in full is when threatened with lawsuits, but that's an entirely different story. I have tons of stuff in investigations and recordings that could be juicy in a video, especially if it's cut all the way out of context. But when things are off the record explicitly, it's off the record, right? So again, I don't understand why this wasn't treated properly. And again, the way that Dogpack can counter this is literally release the entire actual recording, and at some point have the person notified that they're being recorded and on the record. If that doesn't exist, then we're a little worried. Now, in my videos, I looked at another user by the name of Jake the Viking who had mentioned how Jimmy's mom knew about this situation even at the time of Delaware's hiring. And while him, on his own side of the aisle, he's considered to be a dubious individual, it really casts a whole new light on the hiring of Delaware. Was this guy brought in and did the entire company treat him as some malicious, inside joke of being an actual RSO? Or was it somebody they picked up off from Best Buy and they just didn't assume to do a background check, even though they probably 1000% should have? Is MrBeast a complete idiot for hiring this guy? Absolutely. Should a $50 background check have been done? Absolutely. But is it this massive conspiracy that Dogpack, Jake Weddle, and all these people have sort of brought up? Probably not, with all the added context and information that we just got. This kind of reminds me of even situations with Mama Max where there might be some tidbits of truth, but when it's completely overshadowed by this, insane want to make a juicier story and have the internet gobble up this crazy stuff, it makes any reasonable person question what else has Dogpack, or really anybody investigating this, actually hyped up. When you're presenting serious stories, you need to do it seriously, you need to do it ethically. The Delaware story, in my opinion, is already fucked up. And you don't need to make it even wilder by creating this conspiracy, this conspiratorial story inside the MrBeast studios. It's bad that you're hiring people like that. It's as simple as it is. Now, later on, there are other allegations that Soggy discusses, and plenty of people have actually looked into. One of them was actually the war crime allegation. So if you watch Dogpack's video, the allegation actually relates to Jake Weddle, who participated in this MrBeast challenge, where he was earning money by doing this MrBeast challenge. And while he claimed that he experienced some suffering, he experienced pain, the comparison to his suffering and the Geneva Convention and United Nations Torture Convention is completely fucking flabbergasting. Because at the end of the day, one person gets paid to participate in a pretty lucrative job, and the other person is in a black site getting fucking tortured, okay? Very, very different scenarios. Again, you don't have to make things super duper juicy. If you already have reasonably damning stuff, stick with that. Why even go out of your way to throw the most insane points just for the internet attention? It completely dilutes the entire investigation when people do this kind of shit. So at this moment in time down the road, there was one more actual investigation, one piece that really interested me. It was actually the illegal lotteries that MrBeast was alleged to be operating. So one of these lotteries in Dogpack's video, according to Soggy, is completely disproven. Thankfully, due to the Wayback Machine. You know what I talk about how important having Wayback Machine is? I'm not even joking. It allows you to literally grab any YouTube link, even ones that have their videos deleted, throw them into a Wayback Machine and just dig up what the video or the description or titles look like at the time. Now, I've done this for investigations in the past, and personally, I should have caught this, but one of the things that Soggy brought up was a interesting YouTube user interface layout. So on the right, you can actually see what is a real YouTube layout. and on the left appears to be a layout that is completely doctored. And the way that you can kind of identify this is you can see that the likes and dislikes are not appearing. And now YouTube's removed dislikes, but they haven't removed likes. So why that doesn't show up is weird. And obviously the date the video is posted is placed in a rather odd location. Now, this can't be chalked up to, oh, maybe the user interface was different at the time of upload. Even through the Wayback Machine, it still doesn't match this. So whether this was a convenient editing, trick to basically create a user interface to make the video look like, it was actually hosted, or this was a screen grab, is questionable. And it's one thing that I think people should honestly look at. What else are you willing to obfuscate? Now, the reason why this is such a big deal is in the Wayback Machine, you can actually look up the description for the video that, again, Dogpack is going after. And in the description, you can actually see that the entire, mentioning of, free entries for the sweepstake, which is what the contention of illegal lotteries was, actually got mentioned. So why wasn't this brought up in the video itself? That is a pretty serious mention. Did you want to make things look juicy? Did you want to deliberately modify evidence so that you can present things in a worse light? Because that, like I said, is incredibly fucking unethical. And it's one thing that deserves to be called out. Again, if someone is doctoring evidence or presenting things in a bad faith manner, every single allegation you've made comes into question, as it rightfully should. So it's why when I've ever researched anyone or have actually brought forward serious allegation, it's working with what you actually have and can prove in a video, right? If I show you IRS documentation, it's because you can download that for yourself and actually go through it line by line alongside me in the video. If I show you some crazy shit happening on the blockchain, I'll walk you all the way from the beginning to the very end, so nothing seems out of place, and you, the viewer, can come up with your own conclusions. Not presenting things in a way that's going to have you come to a conclusion I want you to. All right? That's how I think investigation should be handled, and it wasn't how it was handled over here. So the next big thing was spreading CP allegations. Now, again, anytime you involve creators and CP or something like that, this is a pretty serious point, okay? Now, remember that baker lady, Rosanna Pansino, I talked about? Well, she uploaded a video where it was titled MrBeast Knew All Along, 1,000 leaked messages. Now, inside the description over here, you can see that Rosanna Pansino is saying, these MrBeast company work chat logs have been confirmed as legitimate. So immediately you're looking at this and you're wondering, why is this that big of a deal? Well, if you look carefully at this image, one that I have to blur out even more is an image of what appears to be Ivanka Trump when she was 13. So this image is one that's censored by Rosanna Pansino, one that I've also further censored on my own. Comes across as a actual video where allegedly they were sharing CP in the group chats. Now, this is a pretty serious allegation. Again, if you distribute any form of material like this, it's not protected by the First Amendment. You can, in fact, see yourself go to jail for 5 to 20, and in some cases, 30 years, as you rightfully should. Now, what kind of evidence was kind of brought up forward over here? Well, let's look carefully. In one case, no form of alleged was being used. It pretty much was treated like actual CP was shared. Now, this group chat from Telegram actually ended up not being a work chat, so already a mistake right there. If you look at this actual chat, when the group was made in 2019, Ava, Chris Tyson, makes it I created this chat for NSFW memes. Because the other people in the dumpster fire ones are normies, And of course, the further you see this, even Ava gets mad that anytime somebody shares stuff work-related, that's work stuff. This is a non-company meme chat. Like, dog, it is so easy to actually uncover this that it's not even funny. You can absolutely discover this for yourself, okay? You don't need anybody else to tell you. You can research this on your own. Now, in a deleted community post that thankfully was archived by Soggy and plenty of other people in the community was when Dogpack had mentioned this. New MrBeast leaks, emoji, 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 fire, fire, fire. Ro and I, that's Rosanna, got access to some of MrBeast's internal work chats. We have to sort through them and censor all the naked pictures before leaking them all. But we just went through some of the chats on... What? Oh, wait, they thought they had CP on there? Wait, naked pictures? Whoa, hold on a minute there. I just had logical Larry here message me through my schizophrenia, boys. If the images contained what you believe to be CP, if they did, you can't just be possessing them. You can't be sorting through them and censoring them. Just merely possessing CP is a criminal act. Like, bro, this isn't goofy drama. This is an actual criminal act that we as a community rake anybody over the coals over. For possession of CP in the United States federally, you can expect 5 to 20 years of jail time specifically for transportation, which, depending on how the law is interpreted in a courtroom, could mean that if you shared this internally between people on the internet, okay, in the group chat, so as you're, editing these videos and censoring things out, that is illegal, okay? Even if it's your first time, even if it's your actual issue, you are actually facing 5 to 20 years of prison, okay? It's fucked up. So in the video, apparently it was reverse engineered what they believe to be CP, like reverse image search, which again, if you believe it's CP, why would you even try to do that in the first place? Anyways, the picture they censored in the video was actually an 18-year-old image of Ivanka Trump from GQ magazine. So again, if this took 30 minutes to find, why even falsely accuse someone of distributing seriously illegal material? Like, the people that are defending the dogpack stuff need to look at stuff like this and say, this is very fucking reckless, and it shouldn't have happened in the first place. Again, I don't even think MrBeast is going to sue, because honestly, it's too much of a public perception hit. But if I was in his situation, bro, it would take a lot for me not to contact my legal team and issue some fucking actual attack back. Because if you're going to accuse somebody of distributing CP, you better make sure that you have actually confirmed that they're distributing illegal material. So while Ava is sending this stuff can be disgusting, even with the context of this being a discussion involving controversial figures like Jeffrey Epstein and trafficking, it's completely irresponsible to say there was CP distributed when it isn't. It's just bad faith reporting, and this level of mischaracterization has any reasonable person questioning not just the evidence, but even the motives of the people involved. Look, if this video that I'm making hasn't convinced you to question everything, I don't know what will, okay? And why is it that a baker on the internet and, this one disgruntled employee aren't being questioned far more seriously? Like, you can't just take everything somebody says at face value. You shouldn't take what Dogpack says at face value, nor Soggy, nor what I say. Do actual research. Look at these situations objectively. So one of the actual responses that I keep seeing Dogpack make is, I'm not a professional journalist or investigator. My goal is just to bring credible allegations to light so they can be properly investigated. So I find that response of not being a journalist to be incredibly infuriating. Like, dude, no one's asking you to have a journalism degree or work 5 years in an institution, but it's pretty obvious to not be a bad faith person. The people defending this in vain of MrBeast being this evil figure in their minds are, Dogpack is not this brave person to come forward with this stuff. Dogpack, if these are actual serious allegations, is only making things worse if there's actual malfeasance. Because now everyone's questioning the story. Guys, it's okay to question people. It's okay to understand that no one in the story appears to really be a great person, okay? You can not like MrBeast, you can hold him to task, and you can also say, this dipshit Dogpack should absolutely should be raked over the coals for a serious level of bad faith that we're seeing right here. One of the point of contentions for me was when Dogpack accused an individual known as James Warren of domestic abuse. Now, at the time, they tried to get in touch with the source who allegedly found charges, but instead of confirming all of that beforehand, they went forward to make this video known as MrBeast Secret CO, which literally just got removed, I think like a week ago at this point, while being up, getting millions of views for, I think over like a month and a half at this point. So until a MrBeast employee reached out and confirmed that James Warren Dogpack had mentioned was different, likely not even the same person, with actual pending FOIA requests, is completely wild. Like, how are you going forward with a pretty serious allegation when you yourself haven't completely confirmed it? Like, I get it, you're not an investigator, but you also shouldn't be this reckless and stupid. Like, this is an incredibly serious situation. If you were attaching somebody's real name to a serious allegation, you better make sure things are perfect, or getting sued is probably the least of your worries. Arguably, the only actual allegation that I think Dogpack might have actually gotten right is maybe one of the illegal lotteries, when there was like no mention of free entries, like some previous lotteries. So maybe there might be a gotcha there, but honestly, like anything in these videos I've said, when it comes to illegal lotteries or sweepstakes, it would actually be more impressive to see actual legal insight. Like, instead of opinions of me, Dogpack or Soggy or anyone that's talked on this whole scenario, it maybe is better to have legal understanding, discuss this situation, and describe what is illegal and what isn't. Because again, what matters through state to state, what matters in front of the federal government is always usually different and interpreted different. So I would like to hear a lawyer's opinion. That might be my only concern with all of this. I think any form of sweepstakes or lotteries when your channel is aimed towards children is a bit on the predatory side. But I feel like all of this is probably best discussed by a lawyer. Now, about a week ago, I looked at a crypto expose regarding MrBeast that was actually pretty damning. And since then, plenty of other channels like CoffeeZilla have covered it, and from MrBeast's own mouth, it appears to be a situation where he mostly moves some funds to other people to operate crypto stuff for him. So how much of that do I personally trust? Honestly, not that much at all. I think for a guy who is so into cryptocurrency, I have to ask why he just moves money and pretty much never followed up on it, especially if that fund was doing as well as it allegedly was. Like, if I gave money to a group of people, I would periodically check up. And it only makes me raise questions and makes me wonder if the irresponsibility of MrBeast running that company at 18, 19, hiring RSOs, is still not somewhat of a fact today. Like, bro, this is actually quite recent. It's not even that old. Like, you got to give a much better explanation than one that has you gapped away by proxy. So I think asking commentary channels and creators to review videos, and this is from MrBeast's idea, where, you know, MrBeast sent out messages to friends of the channel like Caleb, Turkey Tom, to cover this entire video is incredibly weird. And even Soggy agrees it's just not the play. So according to Soggy over here, there's some things that have come to my attention that I find concerning. He has confirmed the one I personally feel most disgusted by being MrBeast DMing my video to creators, asking to take responsibility and accountability for the very serious allegations he still needs to clear up. He has confirmed done illegal things and showcased scummy behavior he still has to respond to, not just from my videos, but from other videos, notably regarding things like cryptocurrency, because that isn't just baseless slander. And it's something that even MrBeast pointed on Soggy's video, finally, a video that doesn't spread baseless slander about me, LOL. Like, bro, you still have to actually address the crypto stuff, some of that lunchly stuff, and really a lot of the other questionably illicit stuff that has happened. So I also feel used since it seems he's using my video, which I credited, to inform people of Dogpack 404's untrustworthy nature, as well as hold MrBeast accountable for shit he should be held accountable for as a shield. Which I hate, because if there's one good thing that came out of Dogpack's video is that it removed Jimmy's Golden Boy Boy Scout shield that had been protecting him from criticism for years. A shield that should not have existed in the first place. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think plenty of creators are infallible. I think there's plenty of creators that make serious mistakes. And as a human being, you should always strive to do the best. If it's one thing I can give Soggy after watching his entire video and researching this even from a closer lens, is from an investigator to an investigator, neutrality is incredibly important. And this video held both Dogpack to the fire as it did MrBeast. And it's not an exoneration. Like, don't get me wrong, MrBeast still has a lot of stuff to answer for. But this is how you do an investigation that is completely neutral, an investigation that is, pretty, up there to hold both parties to task and refocus on pretty serious things. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, the MrBeast stuff, the MrBeast follow-ups on follow-ups. And while I'm personally enamored by the story, and obviously I think with the people watching these videos, I think you all are enamored as well too, I try not to go into over-presenting these things because, like I said, not everything out of the story really grabs me, but as it develops, it's one that I feel pretty comfortable sharing because I think holding a creator up to task that has questionably done some really shady things is one thing that I've done on my channel for several years now. Probably something that I've done as I've grown more closer and more comfortable uploading myself on the internet. I've done this for years. And what I've seen with MrBeast is not something that I've seen far off with people like Logan Paul, people like Gerard, people like really anybody who has crafted, or at least once crafted, a pretty infallible image on the internet, right? But this is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.